Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. You have been muted for an uninterrupted experience. You will be allotted time for questions at the end of the presentation. You can type in your question in the chat box or raise your hand so that I can unmute you. The duration of the presentation will be 30 minutes, followed by a 15 minutes question and answer session. Welcome to the webinar, How to Build Your Customer Portal for Maximized Speed and Flexibility. Today's webinar will help you understand potential starting points for your customer portal, how new modern commerce architecture opens up new possibilities for speed and flexibility, how to move from current state to a new technical architecture. Without much further ado, let me introduce our two accomplished presenters. Dan Anderson is the Head of Strategy and Solution Director for Digital Commerce in Columbus. He has over 20 years of experience in the digital commerce and technology sector. Our second speaker, Maria Jones, is the Solution Architect for Columbus Digital Commerce. She has over 2 decades of work experience in the technology landscape. I now request Maria and Dan to start the webinar.
Thank you, Shweta. So I'm Dan Anderson, working for Columbus, and beside me in this digital world, I have my colleague.
Hi all, my name is Maria Jones, and I work here at Columbus as a solution architect.
So the topic of today, how to build your customer portal for maximized speed and flexibility. So we will go one step further down into the portal from a technical perspective. We will not be too technical, but as you all need from, even if we are a business person, a key stakeholder today, we need to have some kind of understanding of architecture for how to build portal and commerce solution, etc., etc. So the agenda for today, we'll start with talk about customer expectations as of today and tomorrow. We'll talk about company challenges in this new world, new normal. We'll talk about that the recommendation solutions where you should start depends on your objectives and ambition. And then in the end, we'll talk about recommendations for the ambitious. And that will actually be the major part of today's webinar. So what is the customer expectation as of today? We have in earlier sessions, webinars, talked about that the B2B buyer today expect an experience that is seamless, transparent, relevant, simple, and offers speed and convenience, just like customers' ordinary B2C experience. You can also say that the expectation is, make my workday better. Already, 62% of B2B buyers says that they can make purchase decisions based on solely digital content. So our job, your job, should be to make it even easier and better for your customers. Take the customer's position and think how you can empower your customers. So empower me, don't make me think, increase my efficiency, guide and inspire me. You should know what I want and deliver it. Over the next 5 years, a rise in digital interactions between buyers and suppliers will break traditional sales models, according to Gartner. Gartner's research shows that by 2025, 80% of B2B sales interactions between suppliers and buyers will occur in digital channels.
Yes, and by mapping the customer journey with B2B self-services, you can really empower the customer. Today's B2B buyers want to manage their own data, products, and services, and they also want anytime access to your information, processes, and content. So, empower them by giving them access to the data and functions they need anytime, anywhere, and on any device. And in general, make it easier to order products and services by, for example, using personalized parts lists for your register machines, or just by simplifying the checkout process. This because, as Dan said earlier, the B2B customers do not care for your complexity any longer, and they do expect a B2C experience. And also let the customer have greater control over the order processes, and this thanks to full transparency on order details, status updates, delivery notifications, and much more.
So also remember that post-sale is pre-sale. Remember that after-sales services is a start to the next order. You can use product-related services to boost customer satisfaction and take advantage on upselling and cross-selling opportunities. And the key to success is relevancy, as well as fast and flexible communication across all touchpoints. So create relevancy by connecting information to the customer's products based on the product's usage, based on business persona, based on behavioral data.
Yes, and from a service perspective, a customer portal should enable a way to communicate with your customers on their terms. That could, for example, be smart FAQs that are personalized and dynamically changed, chat and chatbots that can be used to guide and help the customers after or before a sale, or just by showing personal notifications when the customer logs into the portal, which highlights that the user needs to take some sort of action, or perhaps just creating a to-do list for the customer.
So create more time. Let sales rep deliver value. As sales processes become digital, the role of the sales staff is changing. We are now in the era of the empowered buyer who has greater independence when it comes to purchasing decisions. As a result, many pre-sales activities are already completed before the buyer contacts a sales rep for the first time, as outlined before. So empower them to research and information gathering, and have access to related service at any time without requiring a sales appointment. It also makes reordering a shipment, for example, shipment tracking, easier, with dramatically improving a buyer's efficiency and productivity. So self-service tool saves time and reduces errors.
Yes, and when they engage with sales, if they do engage, they want that experience to be in a more problem-solving, alternative solutions, consulting manner. Sales reps should have their focus on the more complicated or most important sales, where they can add real value during the customer's buying process. You can also make use of these tools I'm going to mention, to communicate with your customers that might be more efficient, such as chats, customer notifications, guided shopping, and co-browsing. A customer portal should also guide the customers, give them fast access to information like user guides and data sheets, really good product information, personalized offers and personalized information, and e-learning content, and much more.
For some of you, this may become a huge challenge, even if the recommendation is to do it step by step. Because it's not about one channel. Those possibilities outlined in the slides before should be as seamless through all touch points, where the customers would like to interact with you. And this requires that data and backend process are able to be exposed to the customers in a unified and streamlined experience. The portal becomes a gateway to the data and those services that you would like to offer to the customer. It also becomes a challenge for the business user to create and administrate those customer experiences. If they don't get the internal support, have the right tools, and if all old silos aren't gone, and if the organization isn't agile enough. It's not only about touch points, integrations, and exposing data. The new normal also requires that changes are able to be done with speed and flexibility, because today the business requires it. You need the freedom to experiment, evaluate new channels, extend your offer, adoption to global sales, and modification of business rules.
So how shall you approach it? Well, that depends on your objectives and your ambitions.
Correct. Based on that, you may have different approaches and possibilities. On this webinar, you all may have different background, coming from different sizes of companies with slightly different goals and ambitions, but you all may want a customer portal. Your goal could be increased customer support experience, or easy and increased order experience, or create value in each interaction through the customer journey. Based on that, your starting point could be different.
So if we start from the left, what could a starting point be?
Yeah, Maria, in this case, if we imagine that we have done some steps in our transformation journey, we have created the foundation work with like pre-studies and so on. So starting point in this sense is more from a solution perspective. So from the left, our goal is like increased customer support experience. And maybe we, in this case, can start from a CRM perspective, because in the area, if that is our goal, probably we are able to find some out-of-the-box portal solutions for that kind of use cases. Usually those out-of-the-box solutions are maybe a little narrowed use cases, maybe for a little bit smaller customers, at least with a lower ambition and a little bit of more of a siloed solution. Because here your focus is like on information and support focus. And the user experience depends maybe a lot of the solution, because usually this kind of portals, out-of-the-box solutions, are more vendor specific. For example, if you have a Microsoft CRM, Microsoft ERP, then you maybe would like to go with Microsoft Customer Portal. That is one example.
All right, but the middle version, what could a starting point be for that?
So in the middle, our goal is like to easy and increase order experience. Now maybe we can choose a solution that is born more from a commerce CMS perspective. And that could be targeting to both from a small to large customers, lower to high ambition. And this is very much depend on what kind of commerce and CMS solution you are choosing. But in this case, you have maybe a more focusing on the order part. And when you're doing this kind of solutions, building a portal on this kind of solutions, you can customize your user experience to your specific customer journey if you want. And solutions that you may start with is maybe solutions from Epi, Commerce Tools, Litium, Intershop, SAP, or Microsoft, for example.
Ah, right. Well, and the right alternative.
The right, create value in each interaction through the customer journey. That required to be more of a gateway with a customer portal interface, a presentation layer, with a connection to several backend solutions, including maybe the CRM and the e-commerce CMS that we have talked about just recently. And Maria, I would actually like you to present this alternative in a little more depth.
Yes.
So as a final part of this webinar, as I said, this will be the major part. Let's dive deeper into how you can build a portal with speed and flexibility. And this is a recommendation for the little more ambitious project.
Yes, so the aim for the portal for this customer is to engage and empower their customers and their employees, and also transform services and optimize their operations. So where do we start? Well, we start where we always start, with the customer. So based on our pre-study, we have identified our personas, customer journeys, and found our pains and opportunities. And with this knowledge, we can now, based on those findings, document our requirements, prioritize our possibilities, and outline a roadmap. And with this, based on that, we can create design sketches that shows our wanted future states with an outside-in perspective, and that is, we're starting with the customer experience and continuing with the technology needed. So, for this ambitious customer, the next steps involves mapping the need of data, information, and processes, which are handled by several solutions. So to fulfill our vision, our solution in this case, we need the following system support. We need ERP, CRM, commerce, CMS, account management, etc.
Maria, we all probably know that this requires a lot of resources and takes time to make it fit into the new solution. So how should we think?
Yes, well, the huge challenge here is that the traditional does not work anymore. And with the traditional digital ecosystem, we mean a monolith system, a one-size-fits-all solution at the center, serving all customer touchpoints and integrating various back-end and third-party systems. This makes it complicated and time-consuming to add functionality or make changes in your solution. One of several challenges with this is that, for example, the developers doing changes, they must know about front-end, business logic, and data layers, since it's all in the same solution. It also requires you to have experts on this particular platform when doing changes or adding new functionality. So the need for speed will inevitably push you towards headless. And with headless, we mean separating the front end, the experience layer, with your business logic, so that you will be able to use different kinds of front ends and use the technology that suits your use cases best. With a headless type of architecture, we are starting to become more flexible in our setup, but we still have the dependencies in the backend where data and business logic are bound together. So the way to become more flexible and get shorter time to market with your functions is to split up the monolith system, the one-size-fits-all system, and become API first oriented. This is where the APIs deliver data and functionality according to standards as an agreement between systems on how they shall communicate. This kind of architecture will give you ways to iterate and innovate faster. So data needs to be available and easily shared with both old and newly added systems. Becoming API first means that you can share your data and make your functionalities available for and between all systems and all touchpoints. And another advantage with this setup is that you don't need application expertise for evolving your solutions, since the APIs are based on open standards and understandable by everyone.
Maria, as we're doing projects now, we are seeing a lot more headless API, data, cloud, and for building those modern architectures for more smarter commerce solutions or smarter portals. What do we more need with a modern architecture?
Well, composable commerce is the modern approach, and it's founded by Gartner. And by that we mean by which e-commerce teams are empowered to select and assemble various best-of-breed commerce solutions and compose them to satisfy their exact business requirements. So this is the approach that you should use for your portals. That is, you should not try to force-fit standard out-of-the-box solution to fit your needs, but you should instead use decoupled architecture to be able to become flexible and fast when implementing new or changed functionalities. The core part of the customer portal strategy should be composable commerce with the possibility to use what is called packaged business capabilities, PBCs, across the entire system landscape. A PBC is an application or a service built around a specific business function or business need. PBCs are like building blocks and consist of one or more microservices, or it could even be a third-party product like a search engine. As long as it has a specific business value, it delivers something. Since PBCs are like building blocks, they reduce complexity for the business since they are easier to understand, use, and maintain. So in this example, the checkout PBC groups the microservices needed, which makes it easier to handle from a business point of view and also easier to understand what is a checkout instead of all these components. So how do we start our journey towards this decoupled architecture? Well, first, start small, think big. Choose a specific user group, a specific user journey, and a specific device. And then start by building the package business capability or the service that delivers value with the least effort. For example, you can choose order history from all channels, you can choose promotions, or a list of my machines, etc.
How does this actually differ from a traditional portal or commerce project?
Well, the difference is that instead of this monolithic application delivering the experience, the functionality and data, it's the PBC, the service, that will deliver the experience to our portal. So purpose-built apps enables us to deliver on specific customer needs in a faster and more flexible way. And an example, if you wish to add a list of my machines to your portal, we build a package business capability, a service that delivers this specific business value, which is a list of my machines. And since we in this phase also are introducing the API catalog, this secures that this list of my machines service can be reused across several new or existing apps. So by decoupling the experience layer and using services from the API catalog, this will make it possible for you to support very specific customer journeys. So the next phase, what will happen? Well, we will be adding more services to the API catalog. We will be adding more purpose-built apps using the same APIs, and this will increase the usage and values of the underlying systems.
And what kind of significant changes can we expect in this stage or next phase in our program project?
Well, you can now continue to add small specialized services, small packaged business capabilities within the solution. And those could be tools such as personalization tools or search tools. And you can also add tailor-made unique services combining data and functionalities from several of the underlying system and present them to different types of touch points. It is also important to stress that legacy system can still be used in this setup. This by using customized microservices and APIs put together in your PBC. And this is to compensate for all technologies and shortcomings in the legacy systems. So the real strength of this type of architecture comes to show when apps and data sources can be added or removed seamlessly without these complex and costly integration and implementation projects. And this without the risk of interrupting other parts of the solution. If we continue with the example from before, we can here actually exchange the ERP system that holds the information about the list of your machines for another ERP without having to change the applications consuming data or using functionality from the ERP. And this is since the APIs will keep the same interface, and that is the same input data and the same output data towards the applications using them. And yet again, we want to emphasize that this approach does not mean that you need to replace all your existing systems. On the contrary, It will enable you to use existing capabilities and build on the systems you got. So by getting all the information from the same source through the API catalog, you will deliver a true seamless commerce and portal experience. And you can expand it with more target user, more experience, and more touch points in a very fast and flexible way. So what will the coming phases look like? Well, yes, as before, we will add even more target users, even more experience and more devices. And more services, more PPCs will be added via the API catalog. Adding custom services and specialized application will be standard to create experiences for your customers. And this is because the customer expects everything to be available for them on the device they prefer to use.
And then Maria, what can we then expect from the future? Because now we have outlined a few steps, but what about the future?
Well, change will always be the key driver since we do not know what the future will bring. But what will the baseline expectations of a solution be? Well, we do expect seamless interactions between humans, systems, products, and machines, and constant changes of data sources and functionality. This means we need to be able to evolve around services given to the customers. We also expect that the system app and the actual systems we started off with, they will be constantly challenged and changed. This based on user and employee feedback, and of course, market trends. The architecture and the technology must be supporting the ever-changing customer need to move in a faster and more flexible way. So, a modern customer portal solves today's need, but it's also prepared for the unknown challenges of tomorrow. And it's also important to understand that how the solution is built has business value in itself. This means the architecture enables you to be faster and more flexible. So the winners are the companies that have embraced change as a core part of their existence and that have put flexibility on top of their agenda in all areas.
So what you're saying, Maria, is that you should grow as you go, start small and grow. And if we start from the beginning, we are like creating our vision based on customer expectation and lay out the puzzle of opportunities that we have. We do the prioritization of that puzzle, and then we grow in phases and we are agile in our approach, because you don't know what the business will require in the next quarter or in the next phase or year.
Exactly.
And all pillars create value. And when I'm talking about pillars, because we have been looking into different kind of portals, and what we are seeing is that we see a pattern of pillars, and that is order, it's information, it's service functionality, it's support functionality, it's account management, and some other ones. And certainly we can start with some of those pillars, like an easy order process, and that create value. But it is when we're combining them, those pillars, that is when we are like creating this customer experience. We are creating customer freedom. But remember, it is a continuous work. Grow as you go. Before we open up for questions, could you give us some last advices regarding to next steps, Maria?
Yes, of course I can. Well, first of all, get to know your customers and their needs, because it all starts and ends with the customer. And explore the possibilities in your current platforms. You don't have to change everything at once. And build a strategy based on customer focus, speed, and flexibility. And as Dan says, grow as you go. Make change a part of your business. Evaluate your organizational readiness. Since implementing a solution is not the start, it's just a result of your preparations. And empower your business users. A good solution helps them reach their targets.
Thank you, Maria. And that was exactly 30 minutes. So let us open up for questions.
Thank you, Maria and Dan, for such an insightful webinar. Now we are open to questions. Please type in your questions in the chat box or raise your hand so that I can unmute you. We have one question, Dan and Maria. Where can I read more about composable commerce?
Oh, yes, that is really interesting. You can read about it in a Gartner report. It's called Composable Commerce Must Be Adopted for the Future of Application. And it's really good, and you can find it on their website, the Gartner website.
Thank you, Maria. I see another question. If I understand, you're saying that integrations become easier. Is it correct?
Yes, indeed. And when using this API first approach, you are building your solutions to be able to combine the best of breed systems, and you can use old legacy systems in a much more flexible way. But adapting this API first you need to do some investigation case by case first, but it's really powerful and it's the way to go for the future.
Okay. Here we have another question. So the trend is more best of breed solution instead of larger systems. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes, definitely. We see that in all business sectors. But of course, you cannot exchange, or you should not exchange all your systems at once. You should start with what is missing or not functioning in a good way today. Also, make sure that you know what your current system can do, because most standard solution today is going for a more modular and open approach, and then you can actually choose the system or the approach that suits your needs best today.
Maria, but it's also, when we're talking about this best of breed, more modern architecture, is more for the more ambitious. You need to have some more knowledge before. Isn't that true?
Yeah, in some ways. I mean, we should all have the ambition to become more flexible, but you need to be a bit mature. You need to have an organization that can actually receive all this new way of setting up your architecture. But also, there are many like standard solutions today that are going in this direction. So my guess is that in a couple of years, we will all have this open architectural way of working in all types of solutions.
Yeah. Yeah, but did I get it right then, Maria? If I'm not that mature in my IT organization and maybe not have done so much in my transformation journey, then I maybe in some cases should go with like a standard systems
Sure.
still. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you should always adapt to your situation the best way. So that if that suits your requirements best, then of course, yes.
Great. Any more questions, Shraddha?
I don't see any more questions, Dan, but I suggest let's wait for a minute or two and see if we have any questions.
Should we then end, Shraddha, if we don't have any more questions?
I think, Dan, I don't see any more questions coming in. So thank you, Dan and Maria, for patiently answering all the questions. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. An email with the recording of this webinar will be sent to all the registrants soon.
Yeah, and thank you from my side as well.
Yes, thank you very much for listening in today. I hope you have enjoyed it.
Thank you, Dan and Maria, once again. We hope you all liked our webinar today. Wish you all a happy Easter. We hope to see you all again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.